Hello Moto GP enthusiasts. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Pecco Bagnaia has pushed back on Valentino Rossi's recent suggestion that Marc Márquez's presence had a psychological impact on his form. In a measured interview with GPOne, Bagnaia said his struggles last season stemmed from a changed bike and his inability to extract its potential, not from being mentally affected by Márquez's pace. The Ducati rider also reflected on mentors, his relationship with the factory, and his long-term ambitions. Jorge Lorenzo has weighed in decisively on the rumored 2027 market moves, backing Pedro Acosta's reported switch to factory Ducati and arguing Francesco Bagnaia would benefit from a fresh start. The three-time champion framed both moves as logical responses to the current competitive landscape, Acosta stepping into a package that can amplify his talent, and Bagnaia needing a new environment after a difficult period at Borgo Panigale. Pecco Bagnaia used a relaxed fan club event in Chivasso to reflect on a turbulent 2025, praise his teammates, and drop a measured hint about his 2027 plans. Surrounded by supporters, the Ducati rider described last year as complicated, explained what went wrong in Thailand, and suggested a decision on his future is imminent. Toprak Razgatlioglu made a pragmatic adjustment during the opening rounds and private testing, abandoning a superbike-style setup that was ill-suited to the Moto GP M1. Yamaha's engineers and team management say the change helped the reigning World SBK champion close the gap to his Yamaha peers and begin extracting consistent pace from the V4 prototype. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for Moto GP news update. Rossi had suggested that facing a dominant Márquez could unsettle rivals, implying Bagnaia was a bit lost mentally. Bagnaia disagrees. He framed last year's decline as a technical mismatch. The GP25 had evolved in ways that robbed him of the feel he once had, making it hard to express his potential on track. Marc arrived and dominated. You can't say anything to him. I couldn't ride a bike that had changed compared to the previous year, when it was perfect. I was having a lot of trouble. I didn't suffer because of Marc, but because I couldn't express my potential. The distinction matters. Bagnaia accepts the competitive reality of Márquez's speed, but rejects the idea that psychological pressure was the decisive factor in his downturn. Bagnaia acknowledged the influence of several figures on his development. He singled out Valentino Rossi as a major sporting mentor, while also praising Casey Stoner's adaptability and the practical benefits of having Márquez in the same garage. Access to Márquez's data, Bagnaia said, is constructive rather than intimidating. Vale and Marc have something in common: determination. On the track, they'll give you a bite to overtake you. The tone is collaborative. Bagnaia frames mentorship and in-tray team data as tools for improvement rather than sources of pressure. Despite a difficult season, Bagnaia reiterated his affinity for Ducati and his original dream to start and finish his MotoGP career with the factory. He conceded that circumstances can change after a tough year, but his stated preference remains clear. My dream and my goal were to start and finish my MotoGP career with Ducati. Unfortunately, we had several difficulties last season, and it's normal that things can change. The comment leaves the door open to negotiation while signaling loyalty, a pragmatic stance that balances sentiment with realism. Bagnaia's remarks underline a rider focused on technical solutions. If his issues were primarily mechanical and setup related, the path back is straightforward in principle. Find the right chassis balance, restore confidence under braking and corner entry, and translate that into consistent lap times. The presence of top-level teammates and mentors gives him resources to do exactly that. How quickly Ducati and Bagnaia can realign bike and rider will determine whether he returns to title contention, or whether the season becomes a longer process of recovery. Pecco Bagnaia's rebuttal to Rossi reframes last season as a technical challenge rather than a psychological collapse. By emphasizing bike feel, mentorship, and a continued desire to remain with Ducati, Bagnaia presents a pragmatic, solutions-oriented response. The coming rounds will show whether that approach, and Ducati's development, can restore the form that once made him a consistent front-runner. Lorenzo is unequivocal about Pedro Acosta's potential at Ducati. He believes the Mercian will thrive with factory machinery and direct access to the same tools as Marc Márquez. For Lorenzo, the combination of Acosta's raw speed and Ducati's technical platform promises a formidable pairing that will quickly close any experience gap. Pedro made the right choice going to Ducati. He'll have the same package as the best rider, Marc, so I'm sure he'll be very good. Lorenzo's view rests on a simple premise: elite equipment magnifies elite talent. If Acosta adapts to Ducati's characteristics, his ceiling could rise sharply, and Márquez will face a teammate capable of matching his pace. On Bagnaia, Lorenzo offers a sympathetic but blunt diagnosis. The Italian needs a reset. Sharing a garage with a dominant teammate can sap confidence and blunt motivation, and Lorenzo suggests a move to Aprilia could restore Bagnaia's positivity and competitive edge. He stresses that a new setting can reframe a rider's mindset and unlock performance that has been stifled by recent struggles. Pecco also needed a change to start thinking positively. At Ducati, with Marc in the garage, he wasn't fresh, he wasn't positive. The recommendation is tactical rather than personal. Lorenzo implies that Bagnaia's decline is not irretrievable. A different team environment and technical package could reignite his form. Lorenzo's confidence in these moves is informed by his own career and by time spent alongside giants of the sport. Having ridden with Valentino Rossi and later with Márquez, he understands the psychological and technical dynamics of sharing a garage with a superstar. That lived experience underpins his prediction that Acosta will quickly become a thorn in Márquez's side, and that Bagnaia could flourish away from internal comparison. Lorenzo's track record of high-profile transfers gives weight to his market read. He knows how team dynamics and bike fit can alter a rider's trajectory. If the moves materialize, Ducati's internal balance would shift dramatically. Acosta as a factory teammate would compress the margin Márquez once enjoyed, while Bagnaia at Aprilia would bolster Noal's already strong package. The ripple effects extend beyond two riders. Team strategies, development priorities, and the psychological chess of the paddock would all be reshaped. The potential reshuffle could tighten the championship and force rivals to rethink development timelines and rider pairings. Jorge Lorenzo's verdict is clear and uncompromising. Acosta to Ducati is a smart, high-upside move, and Bagnaia would benefit from a change of scenery. Whether the market follows his script remains to be seen, but his assessment highlights a broader truth of Moto GP. Rider performance is as much about environment and fit as it is about raw talent. If Lorenzo's predictions come true, the 2027 grid could look very different, and the title fight even more unpredictable. Bagnaia did not shy away from admitting last year's struggles. He called 2025 a low point in his career, but framed it as part of an athlete's journey. A phase to learn from rather than a final verdict. He acknowledged mistakes that cost valuable points and stressed that avoiding similar errors is a priority for 2026. I made several mistakes. I slipped up in some situations where scoring points would have made the difference. The tone was contrite but constructive. Bagnaia accepts responsibility and is focused on correcting course. On Bararum, Bagnaia said the gap between test pace and race performance came down to changing conditions and grip levels rather than a loss of form. He emphasized that tests had gone well, but race conditions exposed issues the team must understand and fix before Goiânia. The tests had gone very well. In the race, the difficulties increased a lot. The diagnosis points to setup and adaptability as the path back to competitiveness. Asked about Marc Márquez, Bagnaia described a comfortable working relationship that grew quickly once they became teammates. He dismissed any suggestion of friction, instead highlighting the practical benefits of sharing a garage, including access to data and direct technical dialogue. It's good. I felt comfortable. From the moment we started working together, I felt very comfortable right away. The message is clear. Competition inside the team is professional and collaborative rather than corrosive. When pressed on his future, Bagnaia kept his cards close but promised clarity soon. "You'll know in a few days or weeks," he told fans. offering neither confirmation nor denial but signaling that negotiations or decisions are at an advanced stage. He also praised rising stars, singling out Kimi Antonelli for his rapid ascent in Formula One and expressing genuine admiration for the younger generation. The tease will fuel transfer speculation, but Bagnaia's measured delivery suggests a deliberate, considered choice rather than an impulsive move. Bagnaia's Chivasso appearance combined humility with quiet resolve. He owns last year's mistakes, trusts the process of improvement and promises an update on his future soon. Whether he stays at Ducati or seeks a fresh start, the coming days look set to answer one of the paddock's most pressing questions, and Bagnaia's next move will shape both his career arc and the 2027 grid. During winter testing, Toprak attempted to transpose his successful superbike geometry and riding style onto the Moto GP machine. That approach preserved his trademark late braking but cost him corner speed and created wheel spin issues on the V4. Yamaha allowed the experiment, recognizing the value of letting a new rider explore what felt natural, but the Buriram test and race showed the limits of that translation. The lesson was clear: a MotoGP prototype demands different compromises. Stiffness, corner speed and aerodynamic balance, and Toprak adjusted accordingly. The most visible reversal was the return of rear aerodynamic elements and a more conventional handlebar position. Paolo Pavezio confirmed the team supported Toprak's experimentation, but welcomed his decision to adopt a setup closer to the factory norm. Those changes reduced wheel spin, improved mid-corner stability, and brought his lap times nearer to those of Fabio Quartararo and Alex Rins. He had to learn, there are things he should not compromise. The technical tweaks were small in isolation, but collectively restored the M1's expected behavior. Yamaha's support structure, including crew chief Giribula and mentor Andrea Dovizioso, played a key role in Toprak's transition. Jorge Lorenzo, observing trackside, reinforced the technical message. MotoGP bikes require carrying corner speed and a different riding rhythm than production-based superbikes. Toprak's willingness to adapt, combined with targeted coaching, accelerated his progress. The combination of rider humility and structured guidance shortened the adaptation period. Although Toprak finished outside the points in his first Grand Prix, his mid-race pace matched factory riders and suggested rapid improvement. He gained extra mileage at the Jerez private test under Yamaha's concession rules, and will use Goiania's unfamiliar layout to further consolidate his setup and race routine. For Yamaha, the priority is to stabilize the M1's behavior, so Toprak can exploit his braking strengths without sacrificing corner speed. If the learning continues, Toprak could become a consistent front-running benchmark for the factory squad. Toprak Razgatlioglu's early MotoGP story is one of adaptation rather than reinvention. By recognizing the limits of a superbike approach and embracing MotoGP fundamentals, he has closed the gap to his Yamaha teammates and set a clear path for progress. The coming rounds will show whether that pragmatic reset translates into regular points and stronger race results.
Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!